Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Fischer.
J. Donovan.
Cook.
Me, Todd Novak. Hello! That reminded me of the Seinfeld. Hello, la la la. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're off.
When they say hello with their bellies. Oh man, I just gotta say, I hope everybody else enjoys this as much. But I was in the car listening to, I can't remember which episode it was. It might have been the Relic versus Road One, when we were.
You listen to our own podcast.
Maybe yeah. We were ganging up on you.
That's pretty much everyone.
Yeah, that is everyone.
But I found myself just like crying in the car because I remembered how funny it was being here. It was great. And I'm sure people looked at me and thought, there's a strange fellow. Hey, we are super stoked you are listening to us right now. And Stoked is kind of giving me away, I guess, from my West Coast roots. Is Stoked in Ohio?
No, dude, I've always used Stoked.
You have used
It's
Stoked?
a great word.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
We say
Okay,
it.
good. So it's not just coastal.
No.
I've never heard you guys say it, though.
I'm going to start saying it
I
from
wonder
now
who else in
on.
the world says that.
I'm stoked about being stoked.
Yeah.
I can see you using that word more often.
I'm stoked. You have to say it like that, right? If you say,
Now
Where-
you're mocking.
where's this dojo?
Where's the dojo?
That's like California. That's my
Yeah,
California voice in my mind.
Everybody does
I'm like,
karate in
my
California.
dojo.
Wait a minute.
Is that where?
Everybody does karate in California.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I think more people do it out here, to be honest. But anyways, hey, we got to say benvenuti. That's
Nice.
that's my Italian.
So our
new Italian.
our one Italian.
No, there's a bunch of them, man.
Well, they all just unsubscribed.
It's showing me on my geography on podbean.com.
Well, you just offended all of them. So
Good job.
No, they probably are like thinking like, hey, that's a good effort, man. Notice I didn't try to do that.
You were about to.
That
You
would
were
be-
starting to.
My brain wanted to, but part of my brain wanted to. The other part was like that edits thing, like put down the magazine and shut that down. Anyways, okay, hey, let's talk about what is new in our music world today, Jay.
What is new in the music world today? And I'm going to defer to Jeff.
What?
Why?
Yeah, because you got nothing, right?
No, I got something.
Well, then you should
it's
go.
so important.
Oh, it's got to be the last.
Why are you always
Oh, yeah,
wearing
Jay's-
the sweater?
You know how
It's
cold it is
85
in
degrees
this?
outside.
It's
Dude, in
it's
this-
95 in here.
Well, it's warm now, but like this afternoon is like 60 degrees in this place. It's freezing in here.
What? You are the oldest lady I've ever heard.
It's possible.
On that
Okay.
note, we'll switch back
All right,
to me.
yeah, go
All
back
right,
to
I'm
you.
gonna go. I want to go.
I have no, you can't.
You can't just take it and give
I'm
it.
taking it back. All right. So the latest thing I've been working on is fiddling with my Pierre Joseph's upright bass pickup.
Fiddling with my Pierre Joseph. Is that what you...
I didn't even think about it.
Yeah,
What are we not even...
I know.
Fiddling with my Pierre Joseph's. That's a good one. I gotta.
Oh,
that's one
a
for the
batwing
ages.
day.
That's,
Anyways, that's another
Batwing.
thing. Okay.
So let me explain. Pierre Joseph's is a pickup maker for upright basses,
Okay.
and so I've been
The Upright Bass Podcast again.
right. Well, it's electrified.
Yeah.
All right.
So, and it is a viol, right?
All right.
I think it is like a guitar, right? Aren't guitars viols?
Yeah, but let's clarify. You are using an upright bass not for classical music.
Right. I'm the suckiest,
You're doing it for rock.
yeah, like rockabilly.
Okay. Just clarifying so that people aren't
Yeah.
like, what?
What?
People in Italy turning us off.
Do you have your slap technique down on upright?
I can do it for a little while.
Yeah, it's hard.
I don't have the strength. I don't have the. I mean,
Make that hand
You know,
motion.
You
again.
slap your Pierre Joseph? Is that what?
Yeah.
wow.
Well, no.
That's good. That's well played.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point was, it has a magnetic has a magnetic piece, and then it has the piezo piece, right? They're connected. And I've been moving. The latest thing I've been doing is moving around a little. Well, is it piezo or piezo? Piezo, I think.
I think it's
Are you
big.
Italian or?
We should ask. Am I saying it right?
Dear Italian listeners,
It has
I don't
the
think it has
two
anything to do
pieces,
with
right?
Italians.
Because when I first got it, it didn't feed back at all because it only had the electromagnetic pickup. Made it sound, you lost all the wood, right? Mm-hmm. But it never fed back when you were trying to play really loud volume. So it was good and bad. So he issued you could send it back in, and for like an extra $15, he'd add this other little element to it that would pick up a lot more of the wood, and you connect it to the bridge. So it's got the two pieces now.
So it's got an electromagnetic piece.
It goes right under the strings, directly under the fret at the end of the.
Okay, and it has the piezo.
Piezo.
hey,
No.
what?
Now, is there any? Do you ever mic like the F hole or at all, or?
I don't, because that's where all the feedback problems. I've tried it before.
Okay.
I've done the one where you wrap it in like a towel and lay it down in the
That's the thing.
underneath the down by the peg. I've tried a bunch of different things. It was always a disaster.
Okay.
So I got this pickup because it doesn't feed back, but then it was like so not feedback, it lost all the you just didn't have the greatest sound. So he added this little piece. So the whole point of this like long way of explaining this is I've been moving around that little piezo piece, which I normally had it stuck in one place. I thought I found a good sound. I wanted to mess around with it, and I've been moving it around. And it's interesting when the bridge is big, right? It's pretty big, and it's been super glued, so it bends a lot, right? This guy has a secret. The guy at the Loft Violin Shop, Sid, who, R.I.P. He's no longer around, but he could do wonders with super glue, right? He super glued the whole bass, like I said in an old one, but he would super glue the bridge so that the tension wouldn't bend it. So anyway, I've been moving it around on that, and I noticed it does change the sound quite a bit when I go to the end, when I go to the back, when I go to wherever I moved it around. I kind of had it a little bit right in the middle, slightly back toward the bass body, and that's all I've been working on. So that was a really long way to say I moved a little pickup element around.
So
Excellent.
I find this fascinating because I have owned upright basses and have used pickups. But I was cheap. I used Fishman. What was your...
Are those cheap?
Fishman?
the one I got was like...
What are we considering cheap, by the way? Because, I mean, I don't know about you, Jeff, the other person in the room who doesn't have an upright bass. I have no idea what an upright bass pickup costs these days.
I don't even remember because, I mean, really, I was using that thing back in like 99 to 2002.
Yeah.
So I don't remember what I paid for it.
But there are the ones. Some of them you have to have integrated into. You have to have a builder like put them into it, so there can be extra cost. Let's look it up here.
Yeah, Minister of Information.
The Realist. Oh, our TV is off, so.
I would imagine they range in price.
$219 for Realist. I've seen that one. Transducer before.
Spend as much as you want.
And what's the really good one? You asked me too fast. I mean, Underwood had some. They had some more of the cheaper ones, as I recall. They didn't have the best. I had a Barkus Berry for a while. Not so good. It was easy to install because it had little screws. You could just screw it on. You didn't have to integrate it with the bridge or anything like that. But let me look here.
Yeah, I
I'd
was
be really
I
curious
was
to-
never a fan of the Fishman that I had. It was all wood. It was no bass whatsoever.
Yeah.
That was my issue with.
So it just picked up the.
Finger movement and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was gross.
K and K. That's the other one I remember getting pretty good reviews.
Was it because you didn't have it in the right position?
Well, there weren't a whole lot of positions you could place that thing. So it had, I don't even know what they were, but they're little clamps that fit in between the strings that went around the front edge of the bridge. So there was one that sat between the E and A string, and there was another one that sat between the D and G string. But yeah.
The string charger, by the way, is the one I have. The Pierre Joseph string charger. I forgot to mention. That's the...
What does something like that cost?
When I bought it, I think I paid $100 for it, but that was
pretty good.
That was like 15 years ago or whatever. And then I paid maybe it was $35, not 15, for the extra piece. But this has been a long time. Let's see what he's got here. I'm looking at it. Just
Hey Jeff, make yourself useful. Turn the TV on.
$289 for the string charger, and then the bridge charger is $59. That's the bridge charger is the extra.
That's a lot of money.
Prices have gone up a little bit. It's excellent.
But I mean, I guess short of that, if you don't have something like that, you do what to amplify your bass on stage? Nothing.
A mic or you got to have something.
But but most of the time, if you're doing an upright for a rock gig, or it's typically like a rockabilly or maybe a ska.
Some guys. There's a guy who plays in a band around here. Called the Flying Saucers. The Flying Saucers.
Right.
There's no G. And I've seen him run two amps, like 2 pickups and 2 amps, one to get all the like slap tone, and then one to get the low.
It's a good idea.
And they're really good. And I've seen that setup before. Yeah. So
crazy, man. Riveting stuff. Thanks, bro.
Yeah. Bro. What was that? I don't.
Jeff, what do you got, man?
Mine's going to be even less riveting. So
You guys are.
and I'm going off topic.
What?
And
okay, do it. Hit us.
all right. So
You got it like a new recipe you've
Where's
been
the
trying
gong?
at home? Like,
no.
Okay.
okay.
So my son plays drums.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Going into a little bit of the world of drums, sound absorption world here, but I have the room with, treatment and all that good stuff. These drums were not in that room. And they were just sitting out in the big living room area in the
Right
basement.
outside said
Right
room.
outside the said room. And it was always so freaking loud and reverberant, and like he would play drums and I'd walk down and I had to walk away because it was just so ear-piercing, nasty sounding. And like we would play together, I bring out the amp into that room and we try to play together. It was just like, it's all messy and nasty sounding. And he always complains, like, why don't we move the drums into the other room? Like, because there's not enough space in there and all this kind of stuff. So it finally broke down the other night and like, let's just move him in there. So we put him in the room and it was just like, I don't know why I was amazed because I knew what was going to happen, but I was amazed. It's like, it sounds so much better. Like I can sit in this room and you can play drums and it sounds great. And I can play guitar right along with you and it meshes really well. And it was like,
Was that in your basement?
yeah.
And you can get one of those plexi shields too, huh?
Yeah.
Or at least some sort of standing
you
baffle.
could.
That's a baffling, like blocking sound from players thing versus absorption.
Well, you're a player.
Yeah, but it's still going to sound like horrible hell in that room.
You're a player. Dun, dun, dun.
No, wait a minute. So I've seen your basement. There's the smaller, there's like a living room area, right?
Yeah,
And
so
then
is that
there's the
there.
room where you jammed, right?
Yeah, which is tinier, which
So
you jammed in.
Which one did you put the drums
The
in?
tiny one.
And then you were in the larger living
No,
room.
we all went into the tiny room together.
Wait, I'm confused. So you used to be all out
That
in
was
the
pretty
main.
clear. I'm not really sure where you're getting lost on that one.
Drums used to be in big room. Everything else was in tiny room. Now drums have migrated into tiny room, so everything is now in tiny room.
If the
So
drums
basically-
leave the station at 7 a.m. and this tiny room has 4 apples.
So basically, like you would expect everything to be in one room together is how it now
Yes,
is.
everything is in one
Now.
room together.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
As,
And that
as
works.
not before. It was more just
Okay.
the
Okay, I was just checking to make sure.
going from a basically like a living in a cave sound to like a more refined studio
What's wrong with cave
sound. So
Cool, man.
that was
That's cool.
It was good.
That's good.
That's it.
These are good things. Aaron.
There's been a couple things going on. Jeff and I have been talking about, just kind of dovetailing nicely out of his conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Some ideas for sound dampening panels and building them.
So you're going to build them this weekend, right?
Probably not. So, the big news...
Boxes, right?
Yeah. The big news is I bought a router and a biscuit joiner this past weekend. So I have the tools now to kind of help, joinery tools to really start building some nice stuff. I've had like all the other kinds of saws and stuff like that. So now I got his plans on what he used to build his. So I might start replicating that to start getting some of the sound under control in my basement space.
Are these going to be standing, or are you going to hang them?
I haven't gotten that far yet, but the plans, the general plans are in place.
So if anybody wants any, put in your order now for him to build you some. Doing like a mass industrial line.
I don't have the space for that.
We can make like 50 or 60 at a time.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can never have enough of them.
Yeah.
So
I was going to breeze through that pretty quickly because there's another thing that I've been...
Oh, yeah,
do
that's
it.
right.
Lay it on us, bro.
Yeah, this...
Stop saying bro.
Yeah, you're really...
Sorry. I don't know where...
Potassium
very,
bromide.
very bohemian today.
James Brolin.
Oh, man.
So I've been kind of kicking around this idea that stemmed out of a curiosity about getting a better microphone and even instrument sound in recordings. So I've been looking at ART tube, or what do they call that? The of course, I'm on the spot now.
Blank.
Yeah.
Blank.
That
blank.
totally works.
Blank.
Yes, the Tube MP. There's a couple different models, but so I've been kind of researching those a little bit I'm curious if that would
Just a preamp.
It's a preamp.
Okay.
Can also kind of serve as a DI as well. Just depends on which of the models you select.
Which one? Because one has this cool little
I want the one with the actual
LED or the needle.
Needle. I want that one.
The analog needle.
Yeah. Just to see how much
Okay, and
is
so
actually happening. So
enlighten us. What is that going to do for you? Or
well, that's just the thing. I don't know, because they're tube. I'm wondering if it adds just a little natural warmth to the signal. So one of the ideas I've been kicking around is actually getting one of these units and then splurging on a nice tube, and hopefully that nice tube will add a little something.
You mean getting one of these units, then getting a better tube for the unit?
For the unit.
But not knowing what this is actually going to do?
Right. So I've just been doing a lot of research.
Like a little A/B test thing?
Maybe. But...
What tube is in there? You know?
I don't know. Their default tube.
Default tube?
You
That
heard
French?
of them? You heard of them?
I just,
Default.
depending on what it is, I might have a couple laying around you could try, unless you've already researched which one.
No, absolutely not. I mean, again, it's like I'm trying to figure out if it's even worth pursuing.
I thought you already bought it.
No, I didn't buy it. But
When are you going to buy it?
Tomorrow?
Hurry up and buy
On
the
this
damn
weekend?
thing
You're going to
so
buy
we
it this
can-
weekend when you build those panels?
and then buy that this weekend. No,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll just do it, and then I can report back on it and see if there's...
And sell it to one of us?
Well, yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
So is something like that predominantly just for your studio use? Like a home studio use?
Yeah, I mean, I've usually it's for vocals, but I've read a lot of stuff where people use it as their DI for their guitar or bass, and I'm kind of curious if that does anything
I'm curious as well.
to those signals. So, like, that's why I'm hoping like people actually listen to this particular podcast so they can chime in if they've had any experience with that and share what their experience
With
is.
that, with the particular piece of equipment, or
Just the whole idea of using a tube preamp feeding into an audio interface for digital recording.
There's a lot. That's a pretty
broad.
Broad statement as well.
I want to say I don't remember if I'm hallucinating or not, but I've seen someone actually play without an amp with one of those live.
Well, the Sans amp, right?
Yeah, but it was a tube. It was like this one. It was like
There's some like microamp type things that you
this
can get away
Mesa
with.
one I'm looking at.
Oh, yeah.
V-twin. It was one of those.
No, that's legit. The V twin tube.
It's all just
pedal.
preamps. I mean,
Yeah, and you
Just
just
running the
feed it
power
to
amps.
the right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, when we were at the show, some one of these dudes
Yeah,
that
we
we were
looked at one of
talking
those.
to had just picked one of those up for what? It was like $38 or
Something
something.
like that, yeah.
Something ridiculous. And those are expensive, and they're built like tanks. Those are the diamond plate steel.
Oof.
Yeah, he said that's why.
I mean, who doesn't love diamond plating?
I know.
I do.
Jeez.
I don't know what if I like. Okay, here's quick offshoot. Aluminum spin
Brush.
Shoot, I can't remember what it's called. No, where they do the spin circles.
oh
You know-
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oh, what's that? I can't remember what it's
I
called.
don't know, there's an official name for that.
Well, yeah, there is.
It's just the
I
way.
feel dumb because I actually used to work in a vintage Porsche restoration shop, and like there was a lot of that. That kind of it's aluminum, and it's like a
Yeah,
brush.
they-
It's called like a brush.
brushing.
brush
It's
drill,
a
dude.
circular brushing.
Right.
Anyways,
Yeah,
that or diamond plate. Quick.
Circular brush.
Circular brush.
Yeah, me too.
No,
You're
you're
out,
wrong.
bro.
You're totally wrong.
Ooh, I said bro. Sorry.
It's
I thought you did
Talking
that on
Heads,
purpose.
Fear of Music. You know, it's that album cover.
Yeah. So,
You could
anyways,
circular brush diamond plate.
Is that pretty much wrapped up for you there?
Circular
You
brush
want to talk
diamond
into the
plate.
mic?
Is that pretty much wrapped up for you there?
Because you kind of sound like this a little bit.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
Hey, Todd.
Yes.
What's going on?
Well, let me lay it on you.
Ew. I'm leaving.
Yeah. So, okay. I think I mentioned this a couple casts ago, and I even posted something on the Facebook groups and elsewhere. I was looking around for a phaser pedal, and I was not happy with the selection I was getting. Phaser pedals tend to be, for the
phaser
most
pedals
part,
are-
unless you get into the like massive amount of money for one effect range, it's like there's a knob and you turn it on, you dial it up, right? Rate essentially. So think MXR phase 90. It's on or off, and you just dial the rate. Phase 100. Oh, there's a couple selections of intensity, but then it's just a rate. And a lot of the newer ones, especially like the little micro pedals, they'll have like a toggle that lets you go from like classic or modern, which basically just means either a phase 45 or phase 90, or phase 90 and phase 100, around those ranges. And that is literally, it's a softness, it's the intensity. There's a sharpness to a modern one. It's a little bit more pronounced. Anyways, the application that I want it for, I don't want to turn the pedal in on and just have it go wow, wow, wow. Like, I don't want that.
Yeah, unless you're feeding a signal through it, actually
Right.
doing something.
Yeah. What?
Like,
Oh, like a sensitivity, like it doesn't do it unless.
yeah,
there's
even if you're not playing, it's so.
Oh yeah, it's like if you just have nothing going on, and that's all you hear. You can hear the circuit working, and I want something a little bit more subtle. And like I said, I didn't want to drop a whole bunch of cash. I'm like just using it for one song. I'm like, I don't need a $300 pedal to give me a modified phase sound, just for one song. That's ridiculous. So I found one that I think was going to do the job, and it's a company called Access, and I got the pedal, and they're modeling. It's basically the same orange as the MXR, but when I got it, I plugged it in, and it didn't work at all. So we took it apart, and we're like, what's going on with this thing? And the soldering was all super shoddy, and it looked like it had been tampered with. and
It was brand new.
it was brand new. So I got that on reverb, and I was having a conversation with the guy who ran the store, Mike Risco store on reverb, and he was actually really responsive, like, to the messages. He was actually at a gig and he responded to my message. I'm like, wow, that's service, man. That's great. So I said, hey, look, here's the deal. Got the pedal. Very excited about it. Looks cool. Makes good clicky sound. But it doesn't work. And so he said, no problem. Send it back to me. So he sent it back. We got it all
forgot to put a
squared
battery
up.
in it.
He hooked me up with a brand new one, and I just got it today. I hope this works. But regardless if it works or not, I know he didn't build the pedal. He assured me that, you know, this will work.
Jeff,
And
Pass
so
it around, man.
he got in touch with the actual distributor, Giannini Guitars, and so I'm excited to plug it in and see what's going on. It has a rate and an intensity, which I think, you know, if I can modify those two, that'll give me somewhat of, you know, a blend, I guess. I'm thinking I might actually mod it and try to put a blend knob on it, because that would be supreme. Then I like the idea of having that effect just kind of always in the background, keeping the signal kind of live, and, you know, almost like a univibe, but not, you know, like just plain old univibe. We're all gonna click that, aren't we?
You have to.
Yes.
You have to click it.
The man's clicking.
So anyways, Mike Risco, musicschool.com. He's got a store on Reverb, and I was impressed with the service. He you know, it's not something you want to get back from a customer that's like, hey, this thing that I bought from you doesn't work at all. So now what? You know,
So,
and he could have just refunded my money and said, well, there you go. But we got all squared. We got all squared away, and I was grateful for that.
So how did you come up with this pedal?
Do it one more time.
I came up with that pedal.
kill
Give me the
me.
pedal. I came up with this one based on a search for on Reverb. I just said, show me phasers, used and new, low price to high price.
With
And
some
when
type of
I
mix knob
as soon
on
as
it.
I started to get to, hey, there's more than just a rate knob.
Right.
Then it got into the switchers, and I almost went with a small stone. I think a small stone. I almost went with a bad stone. I almost went with a bad stone, because the small stone is essentially what I was just telling you about. It just has a modern and a vintage or a classic.
You should have gotten that
adjustment.
Joe.
The Big Joe.
You know, there's
But
a
it's
mix
got
knob.
mix.
Right. Yeah. Don't you
know?
want that?
I just didn't want to drop $120 on it. It's like, I got this for, I think, $45.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that there's always a case to be like, hey, you're going to get what you pay for. But I don't need it for a whole lot. I just need it to go. Now, the dumb thing is, I didn't get it in time for my show because they were still trying to work it out. And that's okay. You know, I'm one guy that he's dealing with. And so I borrowed my bandmate's. He bought an MXR 100, a vintage one, and I said, "Hey, let me borrow the pedal." He wasn't really thrilled about that, but he gave it to me anyways right before the show. Never used it, never plugged it in. And the weird thing is, the intensity knob on the MXR 100 is basically a bunch of little icons. Strange icons that I don't know what they mean. And he's like, put it on that setting. I'm like, all right. Plugged it in, and it's just like full on signal, right? So I'm live, and I'm leading out the song. I'm starting the song, just guitar only, and it is phase-tastic.
Phase-tastic.
And I was like, oh no, this sounds too
phasey.
It was way over the top phase, and I was like, this is why I need a freaking mix or a blend knob on a phaser. So anyways, going to see what happens with this. hopefully this works. I'm sure it will, and I'm good service. So, anyways, there you go.
So I have a question.
Oh, wait, I got something else too.
All right.
But hit me with your question.
No, it's... Well, I'm just wondering, as I'm looking through these pedals,
Yeah.
is there like unwritten... I know there are always exceptions, but is there like this unwritten rule that phase pedals are orange,
Well,
overdrives are yellow or green? Like
they typically those are coming from like known classics. So the phase series from MXR is all orange.
right.
The 45, the 90, and the 100. So knowing that is sort of like that is the go-to pedal, the way that you're going to compete with that is by mimicking it.
Okay.
Right. Now, DOD, or Dodd, if you're international, they do blue, and it's just kind of odd. It's like, well, okay, I can do that one. And that one's it's the same thing. It's got one knob. But if you're going to spend the money, you're going to be like, yeah, but I want the orange one, man.
Yeah.
If that's what you're, inclined to be looking for. So that was where I was. And I actually really wanted a micro size pedal because I got a smaller board, and so I certainly didn't want to buy a 100, an MXR 100, because it's huge. The other thing is, at some point in time, I'm going to get my stinky bass back, which begs the question, I think you actually like the stinky bass because it's been like 3 weeks. And I think you're just making fun of my stinky bass.
I think he's been airing it out for 3 weeks.
Well, yeah. I'm not getting close to that thing until it stops smelling.
Then you give me my stinky bass back, you dirty bastard.
That's his name now, right?
His wife is
Well,
like,
yeah, I
in
posted
here.
the Instagram thing and it said stinky. So, yeah. So, with that, and shout outs to Stinky Bass. Yeah, seriously, bring it in, man. So we can either
So we can smell it.
I can use it again, or Jay, if you
haven't
still
used
want
it
it,
yet.
Jay wants to try it out.
I don't know if I want that in my
All right,
house. No.
fine. But that's going to actually lead into another episode, which we're going to talk about electronic swapping. But let's get into our topic of the week. We're calling Pawn Prowl. Pawn Prowl. So we have a couple of decent pawn shops right by our place of recording. And so we did a nice lunch out at Mikey's Late Night Slice.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
It wants to be inside you.
Yeah.
That's their slogan.
Oh, I know.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I get it. I did.
Yeah.
I put it in there.
No, I'm just saying.
Sometime it wants to come out too.
Yeah. Well, anyways, so we did that, and then we took a walk over to the pawn shops. And what we did was we said, hey, selves, we have fictitiously given ourselves $500 to spend in said pawn shops. So the hunt was on, and we said, let's see what we can find that we would actually spend $500 on. All right? 500 became a very loose measure of, it was more like, well, what can we actually find and what's interesting?
Yeah, because a lot of the things did not actually have
money's not an object.
price
It's
tags
just
on them.
What was cool? What did we like? What
They
would
were
we find?
overpriced.
What would we take home? What would we bring to this said recording? So, we all got one, right? Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
I was actually really excited about what I got. But let's start with Aaron.
This.
A phone?
Oh, you
showed us your
have the
phone.
knack for radio, don't you?
So it's an Ibanez, I believe. Is Ibanez, do they do the Art Core? Is that Art?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an Art Core.
Yep.
Yeah. It's this nice two-tone
It's not a
burst.
wild. That's basically the competitor to the Wildcat, right?
Yeah.
Everyone
They are
Wildcat.
related as I...
Yeah.
The Art Core was maybe a bigger body.
No, well, they've got the hardcore was a line, and they had a couple different.
Yeah. What website was
What
that?
was that? I went to Art Core and it was like
Yeah, skip
wrong
that
website.
Anyway,
That's awesome.
Okay, so you found. Tell us about what you found.
Well, it's like you like the hollow body guitars, don't you?
I like a hollow body guitar. Yes.
So I've always kind of been interested in procuring one for myself.
I should say
But
I like a semi-hollow body probably more than a full hollow body. But
that's fair.
it's just
You probably
full
also
hollow
like
bodies
Fender
are-
thin lines, but hey,
No,
to each their
do
own.
not like a thin line. Sorry.
So yeah, it's like the Wildcat. I've always thought that was a pretty cool guitar. So I'm talking cheap guitars, cheap semi-hollows or hollow bodies. So yeah, I found.
Well, I mean, it's what, $400?
it's cheaper. You
Yeah.
know, it's no
quite
like
pricey.
Gibson Les Paul price range, but I want to have one.
Okay, so tell us about it.
I don't know much about them.
Well, tell us about the one you found.
Okay,
Help me out here.
It looks like that.
Eh.
We'll put a picture up.
What color
Well,
is
yeah,
it?
but
Describe
like,
it.
Talk about it.
Well, I already said it's a burst.
What color
This
burst?
is the first time you've done this?
Black burst?
This burst. So
Black and orange.
Sunburst.
yeah.
What kind of neck inlay is that?
So neck inlay, pearl inlay,
Square?
Purloin.
Big squares?
pearl square inlays
Big squares.
on a rosewood fretboard. But honestly, it's a pretty striking guitar, and
And this is it's a cutaway, right?
it is
I'm
a cutaway.
gonna help you along here, son.
Cutaway. So what I like about it, it's got the F
Single
holes.
cutaway.
What I like about the Art Core is they have the 2 F holes, one on each side, of course. That'd be cool if they were like 2 in a row.
No.
So, anyways, then there's a black pickguard on it that actually covers up the 1 F hole, which I think is a pretty cool touch. So, I mean, it's almost like some of the Gretches and stuff like that. What?
I'm waving at the Minister of Information. He's got a not art core up there. I mean, it is an art core, but
an
he's
art
looking
core.
at the series. So, anyways, let's see this thing. Give me the phone here. We
Yeah.
took pictures of it. I'm gonna have to. So it's got a trapeze bridge. Sorry, trapeze tailpiece. It looks like it's got a.
That's nice.
Yeah, so it's like a two-pneumatic bridge, but it's on, but it's mounted on a wood piece. So technically, kind of like a arch top, where it's got that movable, the movable actual bridge, which can be kind of tricky sometimes. You got 2 humbuckers, and you sure this was a? Yeah, it's an Ibanez. Yeah. I was just double checking because I was just looking at the bottom.
Never
of it.
know what you might.
It has a very ornate tailpiece. Looks very Art Deco, like jazz style.
Yeah,
like I could see
that's all
somebody
Art
playing
Core
this
there.
from like the Sweet and Lowdown movie, you know. And it's what, like maybe about 3 inches thick, something like that.
No, that one seemed a lot thicker than I was expecting. I would say probably around 4 or 5.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wouldn't you?
I would. I
4
would.
or
I get
5
it.
At least.
Yeah, rectangle inlay, not trapezoid.
Oh, I'm sorry. 'Cause I was way across the table.
We've got binding on the neck all the way up the headstock.
Yeah. There you go, Jay. That's kind of like it.
Okay, it's the AG75.
Yeah, there it is.
Holy mackerel! That was a taxing exercise right there. I'm sure for all the listeners as well. Click on the actual link. Man. He keeps going back to a pinup.
All right. Which one?
That
here.
one.
Go
This
yeah.
Go to the visit page. The link.
All right.
This is fun.
This is it's out of
You're
control.
a backseat driver,
I'm
man.
not a backseat driver. This is the internet. We should know how to do this. All right.
There's another picture of it.
There's a great picture of it. All right. So, anyways, that's a model. That was one of the nicer ones that I saw that one. I actually thought that you might pick that one up too. There was another really huge black full size hollow body that I thought you might.
I saw that one
go
too.
with. I think it was a Sebring or something like that.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
Kind of weird brand. But
Yeah.
yeah, the whole experience in those pawn shops, I was disappointed actually.
You felt dirty.
Well, yeah,
It
definitely felt
feel dirty.
dirty.
I think one of the interesting things about it is that, it's just like anything. It's like, I think the last time we went there, they had quite a few guitars that I would have said were definitely quality. The ones that you might even find in like Chicago Music Exchange or some of the nicer ones in Reverb. They had a couple harder to find Gibsons. I think they had a Marauder. They had a late model Melody Maker, and trying to think of what else. But anyways, they had some cool stuff.
Yeah, I found some of the Japanese looking guitars that they had hanging up way up high on the wall. Mm-hmm. Did you guys notice those?
Oh yeah,
I like that.
Like the Taisco, and
I picked one up that was on the floor. It just felt so cheap. But I know the appeal of the aesthetic is interesting. Yeah. But yeah, big piece of plexiglass.
Yeah. They had a crazy double neck one too. That was really wild.
That double neck with one bass.
It was the tiniest scale bass I've ever seen.
It'd have been perfect for Jeff.
Match with the tiny scale Japanese guitar. It was really bizarre. Yeah. Jeff.
All right. So remember a long time ago when I talked about my first guitar, that Harmony? It's an actual Harmony guitar.
Yeah.
That they had a price tag of $265.
Holy moly! And it looks exactly like a Taisco.
Now I bought mine for like $80, brand new, back in whenever it was,
1973,
83s, 84s, 82s.
72.
But
do you know what model that was?
No, but that's not the one I picked.
Oh, so you just found it? That was a decent.
I didn't
find.
think the price was fair on that.
Yeah. Not really. All right. So
but I have heard that those guitars have like
Harmony's
crazy prices.
Yeah,
it weighed like what, 2 pounds, I think.
That's what you said, but it was heavier.
It was heavier. Okay, fine. It was a little heavier. But what I picked was, and I'm not even sure what this thing is. It says Fender on the headstock, but I feel like it's a mix of something else, because it is almost it's not a painted, but a dyed body, which I don't think I've ever seen a Fender like this one before, over like a basswood or something like that.
Oh, geez. That's awful.
Yeah, but it caught my eye as something different from what you would expect from a Fender.
Oh, geez, that's awful. Yeah, but it caught my eye.
Yeah,
because of its
explains
horror,
our guitar
the horribleness of it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that was pretty obvious to the listeners that there's going to be no love for anything I pick. But anyways, it has.
That's really
what kind of
weird.
Pickups are those, since you're looking at the picture?
Well, it says a Squier Fender Stratocaster, but it, that's bizarre.
So it feels like the body is an aftermarket almost, and someone put this thing together.
Yeah, they're
threw a Fender neck on it. But the headstock is painted or dyed the same color.
They're Duncan distortion pickups in it, and it's all chrome hardware, modern trim bridge. Yeah, that's weird, man. And it's even weirder because it has a painted headstock that kind of matches the paint.
That's why I think it's a hand-done deal, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's a hand-done deal, too. There's another word for that, I'm sure.
Hand-done deal.
And how much did they want for that?
There's, again, no price on it, so picked all the priceless ones.
It's crazy because it's actually got a really cool headstock. Yeah, that definitely is a Frankencaster for sure.
It was probably on consignment, so there was like someone's name on it, and then it was not priced. Yeah,
it's got like a CBS size headstock on it.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's really weird. So that was your pick. Now, you picked that because why?
It was weird.
It's just weird.
And
it wasn't super weird, though. I mean, that's a pretty
I've always wanted a Stratocaster to add to the list of guitars. I know you hate them.
Yeah.
But, so I was kind of like digging through the Strats there, seeing if there was anything.
That's not very Stratty.
What?
Just meaning, so like all the electronics are actually built into the body on a strap.
Oh, yeah.
Electronics are built into the pick guard.
Yeah, which I hate pick guards. So
Yeah.
that's why this appealed to me as well.
You're not a pick
I
guard
don't like
dude.
the pick guards. So
Okay, cool. Jay, what'd you get?
So this one's gonna drive you crazy.
Me personally, or
Yeah.
everyone who's listening to
No,
this?
no, just you.
is that the
Just me.
Ovation that you found?
No, there was a silver tone bass in there, a Dan Electro.
Oh
Now,
gosh,
Now,
yeah.
now, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've done a lot of looking at Dan Electros and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that they used to build them for Silvertone. I can't remember all the deal there. But this one was according to the pawn shop, it's a U2, Silvertone, Dan Electro U2 Silvertone. Some brief looking up the body shape, looks like it's a 56. It looks like it's modeled after the 56 anyway. They said it's a 50s or 60s, and they wanted $995 for it.
That's mental.
Pretty expensive. That's more than that doesn't fit in the $500 range. But let me say this.
Well, we kind of ditched that straight
Right.
away.
Right, but let me say this. The reason I kind of was interested in this one more than the guitar that had all the hotel keys like cut into it. That was another guitar.
That was weird.
Yeah. The reason I kind of like this is because a long time ago when some of my stuff got stolen, I didn't have a bass, and this guy, Ben Lamb, who lives in town, who plays for Lydia Lovelace, they're on Bloodshot Records, and he's a really great dude. I asked him, I was like, I need a loaner bass. And he was super busy. He's like, well, I got this Dan Electro Longhorn. And I was like, and I needed it for a second bass, right? I'd come up with an electric bass but I needed something as a backup in case, when you're really far away, you don't want to just have one bass, right? And so he loaned me his Dan Electro Longhorn as just a backup. And I started playing around with it because this was for a bluegrass and country gig. And for that sound, it was pretty, I dug how it sounded. It kind of cut through, and those little lipstick pickups or whatever. I liked it. I didn't think I would like it, and I kind of liked it for country songs and whatnot. So, that being said, that's the reason I'm kind of interested in this. Now, if you could only have one bass, and this would not be the one, this is a special. This is
Which
for, like,
model did you get?
The one that I saw at the pawn shop,
Yeah.
you mean, today? It was the U2
U2?
Silvertone.
I see.
There's
Okay.
some reissues of that, it looks like, too. But
Trying to look for it.
it only had the single pickup,
Right.
not the two pickups. So
There's not a lot of single pickup basses or images of bass. And it also had kind of a Telly headstock, a Telly-esque headstock.
yeah, it's like pointed. It looked a lot like this one.
Well, it's offset. So it's like most of the Dan Electros have that, 2 and 2.
Kind of looks like this one.
Yeah.
The little teeny tiny machine head,
Man,
tuners
it's just
at the top.
the proportions and dimensions of Dan Electros. Honestly, it makes my skin kind of crawl. I can't.
Yeah, here it is.
But
it's black. This one was black,
yeah,
and it had no pick guard or anything.
yeah.
So how did it play comparatively to what you normally play?
The Longhorn that I played,
Yeah.
which is not, it's the crazy. Where is it here? It's the one that Tom Petty played in Traveling Wilburys.
Oh, that's the one you.
This is
played,
the one that I borrowed.
which is even worse looking.
Even Tom Petty
I
can't
could-
make that look.
It was light. It was super
Yeah.
light,
Oh.
and it was.
I can get behind the
you
other
own
one.
one,
This is what I
then
can't get behind. Unless it's short scale bass.
But I'm guessing they had some similarity in tone. That's why
I
Todd,
do
Todd is like having he's like
Dry
he's having
heaving.
he's visibly anxious.
Yeah, that one's interesting. That's like a new metal one because it's all like single color black. Where most of the Longhorns have that very subtle burst to it. It seems blue on white burst, and then sort of like a brown into vanilla color. And
So you still need to
so
answer
what's
the question. No, not.
Win
What's
me on
the
this.
what was the playability like? You didn't answer the question.
So I didn't get to play the one today because the guy you
That's
weren't allowed
fine.
to
I'm
touch
just
it because it
talking-
cost $900.
Dan Electro in general.
But it was different. It's way different. It's not like a Fender, man. It's
Super light, right?
Super light. The fret, everything's small and thin, and the spacing wasn't like the string spacing was a lot different. But when you're playing like the 1-4-5 on the country songs, it was cool. It had it just had a brassy kind of cut through on it. Yeah, it was different. It was definitely different. But it was weird. I kind of liked it. And it's not something you would like try.
What about the actual stylings? I mean, like Dan Electro has an aesthetic to them. Do you like that aesthetic or not?
Well,
me withstanding in the room, obviously. Like who
Longhorn. I'll be honest. The Longhorn is not the one I would pick. I liked how this U2 looked better than a Longhorn. The Longhorn sounded cool, in my opinion. I used it only as a backup, This one looks like something I would actually might play though for certain kinds of songs. This whatever it is,
this
U2 56 cutaway or Silvertone. It's got like 6 names on it. I don't know exactly what it is.
It's all the above.
So anyway, that's
weird. Does it sound? Does it get? 2 lipstick pickups. That seems like it's going to be very one-dimensional.
And it is.
Sounding.
It was.
It is. Okay,
It was,
so you're getting a Dan Electro sound out of that. Okay.
You may relax now.
Okay.
I think I know.
That shot looks cool that you took there, or whoever took there. I don't know.
Look at that giant screw. It has like one humongous screw in the bridge, and this one does too. The one from today.
So it's only got 3.
It just looks so precariously seated in there,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
That tailpiece is like
It's loose.
What the
It's
heck?
like I think loose is the word I like. Well,
yeah, and then there's a wood. I don't understand. I don't understand that at all. I don't get it. But hey, if that floats your boat, then sail on, bro.
All right.
Okay, that leaves it to me. Let me tell you about my things. I stumbled upon a super funky bass that this has turned into a bass show again a little bit. Mm-hmm. Well, we switched a little bit. You picked a bass. I picked a bass. No, you picked.
I
picked
picked a
bass. So I found this really wild looking bass, and I couldn't even see the body because it was hidden behind the counter, but the headstock was pretty cool, and I could tell it was 70s. It is an Electra. I have the actual name here. Hang on one second. I have it. It is an Electra X620 quote outlaw quote bass from 77. So it looks very like Entwistle-esque, except without as many points all over it, and the headstock, like if you just look at the neck and the headstock, it's screaming Entwistle with the inlay, with the intricate inlays. It has hourglass shaped abalone inlays, and that's like legit abalone. It's not fake abalone. Abalone. And it's got let's see, the headstock is 2 and 2. Mm-hmm. The neck felt keys. Really great, and huge tuning keys. Yeah,
I like those,
like big Fender style.
And it was neck
keys.
through, right?
It was a neck through. Yeah,
it was cool. It's the coolest thing.
Solid mahogany. It had a great burst on it, so it's like a black into like a honey brown, almost like a reddish. No, it's mahogany brown. Yeah. It had a big chunky black pick guard and a bunch of knobs, and I think that was the thing that, like, when we picked it up, we're like, "Ooh, there's a lot of knobs on this thing. This is cool."
You love knobs.
Yeah. So, what was it?
I don't know.
Google is killing us right now.
I'm glad I missed it.
That was awful. That was some kind of medical shenanigans. That was bleh. Anyways, so go back to the bass here. It has tone control. So like a lot of the Gibsons around that era were playing around with actual knobs that let you switch tone on command instead of dealing with tone knobs. And so it had I believe it's a 5-position tone selector going from real fat and warm to really thin. And that is up on the top horn. And I will say that the actual body style it's a double cutaway with long, I'm trying to explain this.
You can't.
It's long horns, straight horns, I guess, on kind of a...
The second half is like Explorer almost.
It's almost Explorer, except it's not offset.
It's
where
almost
spreads out,
symmetrical.
if you took an hourglass,
square
if you
end.
took an hourglass kind of shape, it kind of mimics that. It has a P bass arrangement on the bass pickups, as well as what seems to be a humbucker, which was that was pretty unique.
In the neck position.
In the neck position, yeah. And then it's got four actual like speed knobs. It has 2 on-off knobs, levers. They're not even knobs, and it was cool. They were actually made of wood, and they're super old, so that really old oxidized oily wood, and it was either on or it was off. And we're like, what does this do? And then the bridge was this like behemoth, like almost like an old PV like T series, like just massive bridge tailpiece combo that was very proprietary looking. It's wicked cool.
And maybe a mute.
There's some sort of mute going on, and we were trying to figure out if that. So it was like a fabric mute.
Is that what's in between the strings there on the front?
Yeah. Below the string. So it's resting on like some sort of a fabric-ish kind of mute.
Like you can lower those
before.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So and that was before the intonation blocks, which are wedges, these huge wedges. It was honestly one of the most unique basses I've ever seen. So picking it up, I thought this thing was going to weigh a ton. It actually didn't. It didn't weigh as much as I thought it was going to weigh. And then we looked at the back, and the back has this huge electronics plate with this little swivel clip, so you can access it really easy, which I think is ludicrous because that is not something that should be accessed a lot. What lies underneath there is a phase shifter and a power overdrive, which acts like a preamp. So these are self-contained chips, these big giant chips, and a battery. With
like Atari
with
cartridges.
Hinges and all kinds of. I mean, this is this
swap
was
out the game
really
cartridge.
wild. So we came back and I looked up. He said, "Oh, this thing doesn't work because the electronics." Well, like, yeah, it's a 1977 bass, and
still
this
wanted like $800
super
for it. It doesn't
complex
work.
for this. I found one on YouTube, and the guy was playing it, and that's when I found out what those electronics did. He goes, "Oh, it is that onboard phase shifter." And I was like, "Wait a minute, what?" So one of those flick knobs, levers, you flip up, and then it just, wow, right? And he controlled it with the speed knob, and I was like, "That's
The
sick,
irony
dude."
that you were...
I know the irony that I wanted a pedal to that, and the bass had it built in. And then the power over the overdrive or preamp. It wasn't like an overdrive, like full on distortion.
Nah, it's just pretty.
It just gave it a little bit of extra hair to it. But man, I love this thing. I totally fell in love with that. It's just
I did too, man. You
wild
found
and
the coolest
kooky,
thing
and
today.
It's like, it just looks badass. And the fact that it's pretty rare. I've never seen one.
Me either.
And that was pretty hard to find because the model number's on it. It just says, if you find a headstock out there in podcast land, if you see the headstock on this, we'll post some pictures up. But the headstock only says the brand, which is Electra, and then the truss rod cover just says MPC for whatever. I don't know what that means. Anyways.
So what do these things go for? Like working
So on
working
Reverb,
condition.
I'm assuming it's working condition. They've got one on Reverb right now for, I think $4.99. Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure. And it's on Reverb. It's called the Electra MPC bass. So that's somebody who said, I don't know, it's an MPC. It says MPC on it.
Japanese, right?
Yeah, yeah. And just super cool. I want that now. I don't want it for as much as that guy was asking. That guy's out of his mind at that pawn shop.
Oh yeah,
Kind of looks like a Yamaha logo.
a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's like a peace sign.
Upside down.
An upside down peace sign. Yeah, it's kind of weird. But, man, it's really, really cool. Really cool. And the MPC, the MPC logo is in like Mopar lettering.
Yeah.
But it was dark. It has age. It's seen some things.
Yeah.
It's done some things. It's seen some things. And yeah, I want that now. Doggone it. I went in there not expecting to find something I was going to really love, and I love that thing. Anyways, I like stinky basses, I guess.
Hey,
Oh, wow. That was exciting. All right. Let's wrap it up with our top 4. This is a tough one. This is a real tough one.
it is tough.
It's super tough. So the top 4 is, who do you want a single bass lesson for? Sorry. We're talking about bass on the bass podcast. Who do you want a single lesson from? Anybody in history? Single lesson. One single lesson from any player in history. Who is it? And Jay, go.
Well, you know what I'm going to say because
Geddy Lee,
no. Watching YouTube today,
Tina Weymouth.
Todd, no. Keep going though. Todd and I were sharing just links back and forth, and one of the links that came after a link we were looking at was Paul McCartney like teaching you how to play bass, and it was like, and you know he was isolating tracks. I'm like, why is he? First of all, I was like, why is he doing this? Because it looked kind of like some of the ones you see on YouTube, like real.
It was like an old DVD series or something.
Yeah, and I'm like, why is he? He was showing how to play. What was it?
And he was
a
acting like you were like
Wings tune
your
or
pal next door. It was kind of great.
He was totally casual, and he was totally talking about it and really getting technical and really getting nerding out on it a little bit. He was calling out the chord structures and what and it was just cool to hear him play. And then I went on a like YouTube link.
Wormhole.
Yeah, where there are all these people that had isolated his tracks, and so I'm like, man, he's the Mac, he's the governor with it, and so I'm just like listening to how his isolated tracks, and I never really had done that before, and just hearing how cool and how casual they were just kind of bouncy and super like relaxed, like totally relaxed.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh yeah.
Well, just even watching him play, you're like, it looks like he's hardly playing the thing.
Yeah.
And he was doing it on his old Hofner.
Yep. His baby. I think he called it my little baby. He didn't say it like that. You have to do the, you do the
Similar.
Liverpool.
Similar.
Do the Liverpool. The little baby. No, you do the Liverpool.
It's my little baby. I don't think Bricktop was in that.
No.
Anyways, okay. Hit it. Aaron.
It's taken
AKA
me.
Dingus.
Whoa. Oh, I just
Jeff?
walk out.
Them's
I
fighting
walk
words.
out.
That was
Just
from the picture.
Hit stop and walk out.
I don't think you're a dingus. I think you're great.
It's taken me 16 episodes to talk about these guys, but
16 episodes.
yeah.
Has it been hard for hard to get out, or you've been struggling with it?
I'm surprised.
Oh, it hasn't come up sooner.
Yeah. So can I get a group lesson
No.
from the same
What?
from the same band?
No, not band. Man. A lesson from a person.
Can you start with the man and then expand to the band as a topic?
I think it should.
Okay.
Ignore Todd. Say what you want.
All right. So, anyways, there's this band that I love that not many people are familiar with, but they're called Protest the Hero. And their guitars, that's incredible. Both of those guys are incredible, and especially how they layer on top of each other. Shut up.
But
That's not.
Is there a but?
No, there's no but.
No. So, okay. I mean, I would want to get a lesson from either one of those guys, because they're both really good. But Luke Hoskins is the lead guy in that, and I would love to get
all guitars and bass. What are you going for here?
Guitars.
Guitar lesson.
Just guitar.
That bass player is phenomenal, though.
Yeah.
I watched a video of him and just a drummer.
What are they called again?
Protest the Hero. Actually, that wasn't the Protest drummer.
Oh, well, yeah, it wasn't the drummer. It was like the bass player, though.
Cam was playing with some dude.
It was phenomenal. That bass player was phenomenal.
Yeah, he's really good.
There's so much that...
I'll have to look at that.
Just that style of music, like so much of the bass is hidden just in the onslaught of sound. You don't realize all this stuff he's doing.
Oh, it's crazy.
That's a very bro-y kind of scene, isn't it? A lot of beards and
a little bit. These guys are interesting in that they play metal, more of the prog metal, but they sort of landed there, or they came through the punk rock path to metal, which is kind of interesting. You don't hear it a lot. So, what?
Minister of Information is making me seasick with his select. It's like,
yeah. So I mean, cool. Honestly,
Okay.
I like punk and I like metal. So, but yeah, I mean, just some of the techniques I would love to learn.
is there anything specific like that you're like, hey man, show me how you do your run. Show me how you put together. Blah.
Well, I think a lot of it the conversation would start with a little bit of theory on why he does certain runs the way he does. I mean, technique wise,
for guitar, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Technique wise, I would. He'll go from like picking all of a sudden into tapping like it's just freaking effortless.
Okay.
So it's like how he kind of goes between those two techniques would be awesome to learn.
That's cool. You should call him up and get him on the show.
You should.
Make it happen.
I don't know.
Make it so.
So after watching the bass player in that video,
Yeah.
I went and did a little more research on that guy, and he was the producer.
Cam came in as,
And then he's like, "Hey, you should just start playing for us, bro."
well, their bassist quit, and Cam had been producing the last couple of records, and then just filled the void when their bass player left. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's the only one good enough to play in that kind of vein.
Huh.
Okay, I'm boring Todd. Todd's
No,
getting
you're
real
not.
bored.
I'm actually really intrigued here. I want to go listen to them. I've never heard them.
Your lesson?
Oh yeah, my lesson. No, not my lesson. Jeff's lesson.
Why is
Yeah.
it my lesson?
Because it's yours. It's fine.
You always have to go last.
No,
I
yeah,
understand.
pretty much.
I understand.
You just get to go.
So, Guthrie Govan.
I'm sorry, Steve Vai?
No.
Oh, okay.
Very similar. They're kind of the same guy, but not the same. Similar. Very similar. He has a. There it is
You gotta
again.
put that back
There
up.
it is again.
There he is holding the clef. Oh man, that's fantastic.
All right, Guthrie
he
Govan.
has a ton of videos. You can actually go and he'll teach you how to play guitar. So I watched all of his technique
Guthrie Govan.
videos, and I've talked about this guy, maybe not on this show, but
Yep, aristocrats.
Yeah,
Aristocrats.
and I watched one video that was just one that just kind of showed me his mind a
He's
little
got
bit.
every one of your favorite guitars too.
Everyone.
Chevelle.
No pick guard, exotic wood.
Yeah.
Chevelle.
Chevelle. Signature Chevelle model.
Charvel.
Charvel. Not
Chevelle is a
Chevelle.
band. And a car.
And a car.
Wasn't
But-
Chevelle just like the spin-off brand of Jackson
Charvel.
back in the...
Charvel.
Charvel.
Was it Charvel?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is this dude British?
I think it started the other way, didn't it? I don't remember now.
They were.
Two separate came together, had a baby. And
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways.
Moving on.
So one of his videos, it was, hey, I will teach you how to play guitar. And he didn't pick up the guitar once and show you anything. And he just talked philosophy about what you should be thinking when you play and what you should be trying to accomplish and getting sounds out of your head and all this kind of stuff. And
Man,
it was
that's meta.
Like, yeah, that's what it's about. And he's got, this great deep British accent and
That's very you.
scholarly talking. So it's just great to listen to
You're
him.
a bit of a space cat, so
I don't know what that means.
it's cool.
Space
It's good.
cat.
It's
Okay.
like,
I guess. Space cat.
yeah, you just
That's
have
my
a
new
little bit of a
nickname.
different wavelength a lot of times, which is cool.
Okay. Whatever. Whatever that means.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, we've got to watch them when they come to town again. You got to let us know.
I will.
Okay. All right. I'm going to wrap this up.
Please.
I'm going to go. Mine is
Steve I.
from yes. No.
You probably need that.
Steve I is drinking in a corner.
You
going,
need that.
These guys are always messing with me. No,
Buzzing
man,
noises.
this one was really, really difficult because there's loads and loads of influences, and I'm easily like entertained
hard.
and just like I want to learn so much from so many different people.
Right.
And I was going down a specific route, and then I said no, back it up, and I'm going with the governor's pal, George Harrison.
Interesting.
Which isn't I don't play a lot of Beatley kind of stuff, right?
That's a great
But-
adjective.
Yeah, Beatley.
Vitally.
But I'm a huge fan of Tom Petty and obviously the Beatles. I mean, like I don't know who isn't. I'm sure there's some people out there, but
I'm one of them.
are you okay? That's cool.
I'm with you.
So I was listening to an interview with Tom
Sorry,
Petty,
Jay.
and he
they're all
he
right,
befriended Harrison even before the Traveling Wilburys had happened, and he was just always in awe of George, and I guess that made him kind of uncomfortable, and it was cool because he said, the one thing that George had over so many people that he'd play with is like George knows every single chord. And I thought, wow, this is coming from a guy who has an extremely prolific career, largely playing rhythms, and I was like, and he's like that guy. And we all know, I mean, widely recognized. I mean, Harrison's obviously like a really great guitar player. And what I liked about, if I could get a lesson from him, it would be finding out all of the not obvious, like what are those things that you're bridging known chords with? What is the little glue that you're putting in between when some person would say, I'm going to go this chord, this chord, this chord, and he would say, well, I would actually go, and go to the left, or just do a little something different, or put something in between. Like, yeah, what was the magic that he was able to infuse into things that made songs so much more interesting than, I guess, the obvious path of like it would be these chords, right? Mm-hmm. And he also, he's like comes across as one of the nicest fellows on the ever.
So are you talking like passing chords? Like, okay, I have a point A and a point B. I'm trying to get from this chord to that chord. What's some interesting things I can do in between? Yeah,
mostly. Or taking something where it's not I think the obvious chord structure for a particular song that would go with this melody. What I found really interesting with a lot of the Beatles stuff is that it isn't the obvious stuff. If you pull all their tracks apart, it doesn't necessarily sound like the song. They do a great job of layering different bits together, and I really like that. So it's not just like this is how the melody goes,
right?
Anyway, so that would be my pick. I thought about doing
it's
Keith.
A good one.
I thought about Keith, but the problem is that he would probably meander everywhere, and I wouldn't actually come away with anything.
You guys would just skip it and go to a pub. And
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it'd be great. It would be amazing. Don't get me wrong, but I probably wouldn't actually very much. I don't know. Let's go on.
That's an interesting.
Yeah,
I can get behind it.
good.
Yep. It's
You
good
should
one.
get in front of it.
No, I don't like that.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know either.
Oh, that's it for these knobs. Please join us on Facebook.com/groups/guitar knobs and tell us what you think and share your stories and guitar stuff along with ours. You can also find us at twitter.com/guitar_knobs and also at our website at guitarknobs.podbean.com.